Right, brilliant. Well, firstly, can I just welcome you all and thank you all for coming along to what I hope will be many next generation events to be held during Biz Week. This has been a long time coming for myself and Paige and the Young Talent Network. I asked Paige for a meeting in November 2019, and we ended up meeting in December 2019 to have a chat around this idea. And we found that we shared very similar viewpoints, and we actually shared the same opinion around more young people events needing to be held during Biz Week. So we got to work after that, and we'd planned a full afternoon and evening events for 2020, venue booked, speakers booked, everything sorted. And then our friend COVID arrived, and yeah, disappointed as we were, we decided that the idea, and the points that we had remained the case. And so we sat down and discussed this year, and we wanted to give you a bit of a taste of what we've got planned moving forward with this event. So hopefully you'll have a really good time being part of this event, and then want to get involved a bit more with us as we move into 2022 and beyond. So I suppose the question is, why have we decided to do this? And Biz Week is an extremely successful week. It's full of events, it's full of opportunities for networking, it's full of opportunities for creating contacts and connections. However, as a young person myself, I found it to be quite intimidating sometimes. I felt it, it to be quite daunting. And some of these events, sometimes you're like looking around to see if there's anybody your age in the room with you. And sometimes you are literally the youngest person in the room. And so we wanted to give young people a place to I suppose experience the same benefits as others get out of Biz Week, and more importantly, to create that community, and for you guys to meet other people like you. Investing in young people and encouraging businesses to invest in young people in the region is vital. It's the future of business of the Humber region, the region's economic success, all sits with young people moving forward. And as such, we want to give young people the platform and the voice and the ability to get involved with the business community. And creating a community for young people to support each other, to learn, to do business is what the Top 30 stands for, and what the YTN advocating stand for. And that's why, as the two leading organisations for young people in the region, we have decided to combine forces and give you these next generation events. Now, in the spirit of Biz Week and creating connections, we want to just give you a quick opportunity to network. Now, if you don't want to partake, that's okay. Just don't accept the notification that's going to pop up on your screen. And this exercise won't take that long. It'll take no longer than 90 seconds. But what we wanted you to do is have the opportunity to meet each other, which you don't often get to do with these types of events. So when you hit the room, all we ask of you is that you do a quick intro into you, what you do and who you work for, and just one random fact about yourself. I don't want anything too weird. I don't want anything too personal, but just something memorable about you, to see, so that if you see that person again, so if you see that person, hopefully face to face at some point in the future, that they'll remember you. How do we feel about that? We all up for that?
All good.
All good? Fabulous. Right, Paige, will you do the honors? And we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome to those people who've just joined. So we've just done a quick networking exercise, and you joined exactly at the same time. But it's good to have you. Firstly, I hope that was good. I hope you enjoyed meeting somebody new. A big part of this is about creating community and creating connections. And we don't have time to go around the room today and do intros for you all. So as you can see in the chat box, I've just popped in my LinkedIn URL. I've popped it in the Top 30 Under 30 URL, and I popped in the YTN URL as well. Guys, if you want to catch up with people, if you want to just pop, if you're interested in networking, interested in chatting to people in the room, just pop your LinkedIn URL into the chat box. That'll allow other people to obviously find you and connect with you, and hopefully you can take these conversations offline after the event. But now for the main event. I'm sure you've had enough of me going on, and you've all waited very patiently. I had the pleasure of meeting Natalie in 2019 when I recognised her as being part of the 30 Under 30 list. She is a fantastic young businesswoman, and it's been fantastic to see Forward and Thinking as a business grow and continue to go from strength to strength. This session, we hope, will give you the awareness and some tips on what it means when we say personal brand, and how building a powerful brand is earned and not given. Without further ado, I give you Natalie.
Oh, thank you, Simon. That was lovely. I'm just going to share my screen now. I hope all technology works for me today. Let's give it a go. Okay. So as Simon mentioned, I'm just going to talk to you about personal brand from my perspective, and I hope that it allows you to even take one snippet of information away today to help you build on your personal brand. I'm going to warn you, we are going to do another little breakout at the end just to see what you've taken from the session. So I thought I'd mention that now. I wanted to start really with giving you a little bit of background on maybe times that I've really noticed personal brand in my career. So as you probably all can hear, I am not from Hull. I moved here about 7 years ago, and I think that's when I really noticed the power of personal brand. I started off selling advertising space in the local area, and the amount of knockbacks I got, I just couldn't get anyone to take my call. I couldn't get through the door. So I had to change my tactics. And to do that, I had to push the fact that I was local. To ignore my Essex accent, I promise you, I live in Hull now. I had to add that sense of humour or get it there to start with, because I discovered the power of my accent, or in some situations, the disadvantage. So it really made me realise the power of my brand, what I was putting out there, and the fact that I would have to build a local network. I'd have to put my brand out there because I'd moved to a new area. So it really made me realise the power of my personal brand, and especially moving to a new city, that I needed to build and establish new networks. And that's not to say that I haven't had some challenges and times where I've doubted my personal brand. So in my current role, I was in a meeting with a supplier. They'd sent someone quite senior, and I was also there with two colleagues. Now, the whole time, the supplier had very little eye contact with me, had really focused on all conversations towards my other two colleagues, and actually did throw out there a comment that was, oh, you wouldn't know, you're too young. Please don't get me wrong, I love being told that I look young, but in a situation like that, in a meeting, I was taken a bit back by it, and it really made me doubt my personal brand. Was I carrying myself right within the meeting? Did I hold myself? What did I do something wrong? Actually, on reflection, it made me realise that I took on a negative view, and it affected my perception of that person to me, and how powerful it is that you can sometimes give off the wrong impression and how much that affects your audience. Personal brand is how someone perceives you. So that was a complete challenge, and a time that I realised how much personal brand can affect my opinion over someone. And nowadays we live in such a competitive world that a degree, apprenticeship, or even experience maybe doesn't cut it. Someone might beat us to that job. And in life, it is like being back at school a little bit. It's about who's popular, who was in the popular group. This continues into our adult life and professional lives. We have to become popular as personal brands, like some of the brands we all know, like Apple, like Nike, Google. They're all around because they benefit people. We seek them out as consumers. We choose to follow them. This is the same with our personal brand. It doesn't come easy. You have to build and establish it. And Tom Peters completely knew the relevance of personal brand. He said that all of us need to understand the importance of branding. We are the CEOs of our own companies, me incorporated. To be in business today, our most important job is to be head marketer of the brand called you. And he is completely right. You are your own brand, whether you like it or not, or whether you know it. And especially now, there's so many different platforms for us to share our personal brand, if that be Facebook, blogs, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. The list really does go on. And they're great because it gives everyone the chance to develop and have a platform to promote themselves. Everyone has a space to shine if they create it. But is personal branding just about having a Facebook profile or Instagram account? Is it about us talking about ourselves all the time, self-promotion, or how many likes I get on a LinkedIn post? No, it helps. But in my eyes, for me, personal brand is how other people know you to be. It's how they perceive you. Some of the most successful people in business or in general that you know will know that impressions matter in every circumstance. And that's them being consistent with their actions, their work, their values and appearances, so that every interaction they have with people carries a similar impression, both online and in person. Personal brand is about you expressing your authentic self in all situations. People buy people. And that saying is 100% true. Deep down, we all purchase or interact with people because how they make us feel. I bet people in this chat today have paid a little bit more for a product or service because they're buying it from a friend's business, a local business because they want to support local, or generally because you've had a cheeky salesperson that you just have loved interacting with. So the saying people buy people, it really is true. And from my experience, my role in both career and life, I've closed deals or built networks because I'm myself, I'm honest, and people can tell when you are being authentic. They can also tell when people are being fake. And even the ones that think they put on an act will always show their true colours. I can guarantee that will happen. So why should personal brand be the only brand that you should take care of, and why is it so important? Well, it makes you stand out from the crowd. We live in an age where highly desirable jobs are so hard to come by. A strong personal brand is your secret weapon. You are the only person who can create it. And when you create something so unique and distinct, you become highly desirable. You become a luxury. People will start to seek you out. They will want to follow you. They will value your content, if that be advice, stories, or knowledge. And in a business capacity, that's when you find it easier to be headhunted or gain new business. 70% of employers use social media to screen candidates during the hiring process. You need to ensure that you're standing out from your competitors. And the fact that 43% of employers use social media to check current employees, you need to be standing out from the crowd at all times, and personal brand will help you do that. You can leverage your network and become recognizable. As you grow your personal brand, you will grow your network of contacts within the industry. The more people that are aware of your personal brand, as well as your business, the more visible will you become in terms of your potential audience. People in your network will share your contact with their audiences, which means that you will reach people you couldn't have had targeted otherwise. And being recognizable in person will help you at networking. It will also lead to introductions, especially at networking events. And there's probably a few of them in the room that are in sales, and we all know that a recommendation is far easier than going out cold calling or finding new business. So personal brand can really help you leverage your network and become recognizable. Also, you control your brand image. Control is essential when it comes to branding. We've all been in businesses where brand guidelines are there and they're checked. Nothing goes out outside brand guidelines, God forbid. But it really is crucial. If you don't take control over your brand, other people will, especially your personal brand. People will put out there their own opinions, and your brand will grow, but in not the direction that you may want it to grow. So don't let it happen. Instead, make sure your personal brand is purposeful. Everything you share with your audience, you control. You control the information that you release to the public, so you can retain control of your narrative at all times. And we are all human, we all make mistakes. But if you're in the driver's seat of your brand, it's down to you how that is portrayed. So personal brand, it's so important that you control your brand image and you don't let others do that for you. And by establishing a personal brand, it's going to build your confidence. You might feel that vulnerable when you put yourself out there online and you need to talk to yourself. It's not the most comfortable thing, talking about yourself when you first start out doing that, but your confidence will rise. By you sharing information about yourself, you're going to be talking to new people, you're going to be putting yourself into new situations, you will meet people, you're going to build your confidence. And as you feel your brand grow and become more successful, you will become more confident. And of course, you're going to attract new opportunities. When you have a clear brand and a clear brand promise that you commit to sharing, and when people start to know who you are, your brand is going to take on a life on its own. People start to know you. You're going to become magnetic. You're going to attract people and opportunities. And those opportunities are going to help you achieve your long-term goals, if that be in your life or your career. So how do we start to build a brand? How do we start to look at personal branding? The most important thing is you need to define yourself and your purpose. You only know what makes you happy or sad, what makes you tick, what makes you successful. What is your purpose? This is going to be the foundation of your personal brand. I can't answer that for you. Only you will know that. But what gets me out of bed in the morning is that I'm making an impact, that in my current role, I help the business succeed in both growth and for everyone in the business. And that I create a work environment where everyone feels valued, empowered, and part of a team. So I suppose my purpose is, yes, I want to be successful, but what really drives me is that I'm helping others to achieve success. And I think if you struggle when you're looking at your purpose, think about what your expertise are. What are you good at? A lot of people sometimes focus on improving their weaknesses, but actually taking a real good look at what you're good at and improving on that, that is going to lead you down to what your purpose is. And knowing your expertise will heighten your purpose. And what's your experience? Know your story. We all have a story, and we all need to ensure that we can tell it. Now, there is an absolute art form in storytelling, and storytelling brings out humanness and emotional connectivity with your audience. It builds trust, and every brand needs to build that. Every brand has a story behind it, and so do you. It doesn't matter that it's your personal brand. If anything, it's going to make sure that you do have that emotional connectivity with your audience. And I will share after, because when I was part of the Top 30 Under 30, there was a great speaker called Stephen. So I will put in his LinkedIn details, because I really do recommend that you follow his LinkedIn page, The Speaking Revolution, because there's some really great tips on there about storytelling, how to tell stories and communication skills. So I will drop that in afterwards. But going back to telling your story, I have a story, you have a story, everyone, we all have a story. Our personal brand is about what kind of experience people have of us. And again, I know it's not the most comfortable thing talking about yourselves, but sitting and really thinking and writing down your clear educational history, career history, how you got into your role, what your passions are within your professional life, what you found hard, what were your struggles, and what are your long-term goals, you will start to see and define a beginning, middle, and end of your story. We need to make sure that we're able to articulate our experiences in the most compelling way to form a story. It will help at networking, it will help within interviews, and it takes practice. It's not easy. These things take time. Going away and getting all of these details down, starting a Word document, really going through all the fine details of your past and experiences will help you uncover your story. And we all have a great story. It's just we need to start telling it in a really confident and compelling way to help build our brand. And I know I've already said this, but this is something that I really want to drill down on. Going back to being authentic, it is so key. When I first started out in my profession, in my first job, I was young. I'd never really been in a really office environment, so to speak. And I think it was a case of being really professional and corporate. But as I've grown, as I've moved industries, as I've built success in my career, it's about being human and having them human connections. My clients are like an extension of my team. It's about building a connection, and that's only truly done when you are yourself, when you're authentic and honest. And authentic isn't just about showing off your successes. Everyone, even the most successful business people, have gone through times when they've failed. And that's absolutely okay. It's what you learn from those, what you take them away and how you deal with them. And being authentic is about showcasing you as a whole, because there are going to be times when maybe you haven't succeeded, but that's taking you to where you are now. It's how you can communicate that. But I suppose, how do we show our best authentic selves? It's about how we understand ourselves and what matters to you. Looking into your values, you will know your core values and what determine your attitudes, choices, and actions. And as you grow and move through your life and your professional life, these will develop, they will change. But it's about ensuring that everything you do is about around your values, staying authentic to yourself. Now, the next is know your audience. This is so important. You can't advertise to the masses. Just like big brands, you need to make sure that you target the right audience. Nike target people with sports interests. Universities target students of the right age within their catchment areas. If you spend your time targeting everyone, you're going to waste your energy and resources. For example, I know that when I post on LinkedIn, for example, that the content that is most relevant to my audience within the advertising or media industry, or sharing my advice on management, that's when I see the most engagement. It's about knowing your audience and creating the right content for your audience. For example, when we moved into working from home, my God, we were 13 weeks in, who knew we were going to be at this point? But it was about sharing tips and motivation from working from home. And that we all know at that point, it was quite stressful, and God forbid, it happened every time. I had a video with a client and the DPD driver turned up and the dog went mad. And I think it was about sharing some of the struggles that we'd all had at that point. And you know what, it's okay. And then sharing content to my audience that's relevant, in terms of I'd shared some information about a H&M campaign. Now that suits my audience. I'm involved in a lot of the advertising industry and people from the advertising industry and media and marketing on my LinkedIn. Again, it was targeted for my audience. And it's just so important that when you're putting out content, that it's relevant for who is in your network, because we've all had that person on any of our socials that share absolutely everything all of the time. And it's not relevant to me. If anything, it becomes quite frustrating because it's just not targeted for me. So knowing your audience, make sure you put your energy into targeting the right audience, and it will do dividends. And this might be a little bit controversial, but this is what I think. Don't just rely on social media. A lady called Linkatcher said that social media is it's not your microphone. It should be your hearing aid. And she's right. in my eyes, it's a brilliant, social is brilliant, but it's not the be all and end all. Yes, it's a great tool to listen to what your followers want, because this allows you to create content that is relevant and helpful, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. You need to ensure your perception matches reality. Holding your personal brand in a meeting, face-to-face, an interview, or even in a social setting needs to be natural, needs to be consistent and authentic. It's very easy for us to lead an online life, an online perception, but you have to be able to hold that in person. You have to be able to carry that and be consistent. And going back to, you'll only be able to do that if you're being yourself and you're being authentic with your audience. So I thought it was only fair that I share with you a couple of my goals that I'm going to commit to for the rest of the year, because I can't sit here and lead and say to you, I've got the perfect personal brand. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's something that you have to work on. And sometimes it's easy to say, oh, I've been really busy. I haven't been able to do that LinkedIn post. And we've all been there. I've done it many a times. But for me, going forward, I'm just going to make sure that I am interacting with my network more regularly with more relevant content, knowledgeable content, actually taking part in some more discussions based throughout the platforms, and then to tailor that. And I really hope that I am not jinxing anything here, but as the year goes, I'm going to commit to getting back out there, face-to-face networking in all sorts of different aspects that I can. Now, I know that networking can be quite daunting if you've not done it before, and especially if you're going alone. Now, I will try and put out as much as possible when I am going to networking. So if you feel like you want to join me whenever I go to any networking, sometimes you feel a bit safe with a few other people there, please do reach out to me, because I'd love it if any of you wanted to come networking with me. Or if you see me at any networking and you're feeling a bit awkward and don't know where to start, please just come over and have a chat. Honestly, it's a lot easier when there's a couple of you. So going back to me, when I said to you about we're going to go into breakout rooms, so I have a question really. So maybe from this talk, I know it's been short and sweet, but what have you taken away? Has it made you think about your personal brand any differently? What are you going to do this year to help build your personal brand? Because it's only going to come from you. No one else can do that for you. Because when it is all said and done, how do you want others to remember you? So Paige, I don't know if you've got your rooms organised, but we'll jump out and it won't be long. It'll be a really quick discussion, and it'd be great if one person from the room could share with us either what they've said, or if you've heard someone else within your room say something really great that you thought was a really good answer, then we could share it when we come back together. Now, I bet no one's remembered their room number. This is going to be the question. So maybe I'll just throw it out there. Does anyone want to share with us maybe something they've taken away or something they're going to commit to help build their personal brand for the rest of the year? Don't be shy.
I will. I think for me, I think you said about it's very easy to say you don't have time to post on LinkedIn and things, and I'm quite, I do that a lot. So I think for me, I know Simon's been doing a Project 365, haven't you, Simon, where you've been posting every day and you've committed to do that for the year. Probably won't go to that extent, but I will try and post a little bit more. And I know Nick had just said how he's an expert in his field, and it's quite important that you are showcasing that. So I think for me, I'm going to try and find the time and commit to posting a little bit more and showcasing what we have on offer. Thanks,
Thank you, Billy. Anyone else?
I think at the minute I tend to only share work posts and work posts from my sort of page we have on social media, and I liked what you were saying about it's just like it's your personal brand as a whole. So I think I might start posting a bit more content about things that I do outside of work but that are still related to that. So being like a member of sort of environmental groups and that kind of thing links in with what I do, so maybe doing a bit more of that as well as just the sort of sharing the work stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be really beneficial, especially like you say, you're still linking it with the platform that it's maybe business orientated on LinkedIn, but yeah, I think it'll also showcase your personality at the same time. Thank you.
I think Matt was going to come in and say something, but I now don't know whether I'm just throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, you spotted me on mute there, Simon. Cheers. No, I was just going to say about because I'm self-employed, so I do think about it quite a lot, like posting and stuff like that. But the point about like creating discussion and interacting with other people's posts, I think that's something I probably forget about quite a lot, is that even though you're putting stuff out, it's about finding other people's content as well and getting involved in discussions that way and making new connections, not just through sharing your post, but interacting with other people's as well.
Oh, thank you, Matt.
It's Will here. I think the thing I liked was that it's about kind of getting a little bit back to basics after the last year. We can sort of rebuild everything and sort of go, here are the things that we know. How are you going to go forward from there? You've kind of taken a brand break almost, you know, from personal interacting, and how can we kind of rebuild that and restart that? So yeah, that I really like the kind of brand basics, I think is what I took from that, and how you can amplify them again.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a fresh start when it comes to face-to-face, isn't it? We all won't know what to do, and we're being allowed to get back into a networking room. Well, thank you.
Is there anybody else want to say anything? Anyone want to give us any of the takeaways? I'm going to take the virtual tumbleweed as a sign that we are done. So firstly, can we just give a virtual round of applause for Natalie, please? Thank you for your for agreeing to host our first Next Generation Day. There's a lot of takeaways that from myself and for the others in the room, so thank you for that. Guys, just a couple of points before you go. I've dropped a couple of links into the chat box for other events. One thing I've had this year, more so than any other year, so I've been doing Top 30 for 4 years now, and this year more than any other year, have I spoken to business leaders who are really keen for young people to get out there. And so what I'm sensing is from the community is that actually, you know, there is an open door for young people to go out there and engage with some of these senior business leaders. What we now need to do is actually walk through it and grab a hold of these opportunities that have been presented to us. And so one of the things I want you guys to take away from this is to get yourselves out there, get speaking to people. As Natalie, this all forms part of your personal brand piece. So I did a couple of sessions in there for BizWeek that I think will be useful to you. Number one, Paul Sewell's conversation with Steph McGovern. I was there at that recording. That recording is blooming brilliant. Steph is a fantastic woman, has got some fantastic things to say, especially talking about her younger self and what she did to get to where she is today. Some really good lessons, and I really recommend you join that at 11 o'clock. There's Business Day, which on Friday, which again, I'd be really keen for you to get involved with. And for anybody who's also, you know, interested in some of the social media stuff, our friend Matt, who is on the call somewhere, he is doing an event on Thursday, and again, feel free to join him on that session and find out a bit more about some of the social media foundations and fundamentals. So guys, get yourselves out there, get yourselves involved in the business community this week, go and take these opportunities to learn and enhance your skill set. Our plans moving forward is going to be that we're going to do more events throughout the year, but also we're going to then build towards doing a big 2022 where we're going to do a next generation day, which was the original idea, with an afternoon or evening of, you know, of opportunities for you to learn and develop and network, and there'll be a couple of beers involved, so hopefully that will, you know, entice a few of you across. So yeah, hopefully we'll get to catch up soon. I won't take any more of your time, guys. Have a fantastic Tuesday, enjoy the rest of Biz Week, and we will see you hopefully in person very soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.